Yes, I'm so excited. This is going to be the funnest call of your day, I hope.
All right, yeah, we've got some folks coming in. I love it. All right, it looks like
Oh, hey,
and
she's
then
Monisha's in my, well, we have a new thing that we're doing together. Hi, Monisha.
okay, right.
Hi, sorry, I was typing in the chat, but hey girl, hey.
Hey. This is so good. I'm like, the sun has decided to come out in Chicago. It's been like raining all day. I don't know if it's clear and sunny.
Hopefully you can get some time to get outside, get some
I,
sun.
I will be outside right after I log off.
Well, all right. Looks like we are at 12:03 Pacific, so we can kick things off. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for your time, attention, and attendance today. You could have been anywhere, but you've decided to be here with us, and we're very thankful for that. I'm a new face to some of you all, so I'm going to briefly introduce myself. I'm Ryan Pierce. I'm the proud venture analyst here at the Brain Trust Fund. And today's a very special day. It's going to be the first of many virtual sessions of our retail series. And I couldn't think of a better first guest than the very experienced Miss Crystal Peters, the founder of Beauty Brand Camp. I'm not going to butcher her bio and story. It's her story and she controls it. And I'm going to let her talk about the amazing stuff that she's done. But with that, I will turn it over to the amazing Miss Crystal Peters. Please give us a quick breakdown on, your background, and then we can hop into this super riveting discussion.
Perfect. So thank you guys so much for joining. This is actually one of my first times representing my brand in this way to a group of founders like yourself. So I'm very honored, humbled, and grateful for this opportunity. I hope that we have a beautiful time together. I want to make sure that this is super interactive. So please feel free to answer any questions or ask any questions throughout the conversation. I don't want this just to be me speaking to myself, to silent people. So my company is Beauty Brand Camp, and I focus on retail sales management, as well as just overall branding for mid-sized beauty brands. I love my startups for sure, and I definitely think I can provide some guidelines to you guys, but currently I am working with established brands that are in retail. I've been doing this for over 15 years. I went to Hampton University and always was super passionate about beauty, but it was so difficult to break into it in Chicago. So I've worked at a ton of places. I worked for Oprah's makeup artist back in the day. And it's so funny because I got my ex to invest in his company and didn't know anything, didn't know what I was doing at all. And now I'm like, oh, wow, I could probably run that back if I really wanted to, based on my experience now. Most recently, I was featured in HBO Max's documentary called The Beauty of Blackness as we relaunched Fashion Fair. So if you get a chance to take a look at it, it will give you a quick overview of just like the struggle of trying to relaunch a brand in general, because that is hard. And then also working with Sephora, also during a global pandemic with supply chain issues, things being stuck in California on barges, just like all of the things. It was kind of crazy. I worked for the brand for Black Old Boy and Fashion Fair as their director of sales, but I left. So I was a part of the Great Resignation. I quit, but I came back to work on the launch project, and it was something that was, very difficult, but I learned a lot. I also started my company in 2021 with Christy Donaldson, rest in peace to her. She hit me up on LinkedIn. It was a super crazy story. It was actually my last day at Black Opal, and she was like, hey girl, hey, what you doing? Are you happy? Like, what's going on? I was like, actually, today's my last day. And she's like, so what do you want to do? And I said, I'm tired. It was 2020, it was COVID, all these things happened. I was like, I want to take 4 to 6 months off and just relax and travel and live a soft life and all of these things. And she was like, okay, well, can you come to my office next month? And so next month, a 1-month contract turned into like over 2 years. And We saw just tremendous growth. Like, I mean, you actually should not scale as quickly year over year as we did from 2021 to 2022. Like, you will actually bust if you do that year over year. But it was really great to, to help her company. And then, of course, after her passing, the most difficult thing I think I've ever dealt with in business and personally. We can all watch Succession, but no one prepares you for how to like deal with that. So I'm grateful that we're continuing her legacy, and her memory will always live on. So that's a little bit about me. Are there any questions just after that intro at all? I'm trying to like look at the messages too. I see Kendra, no questions. Oh, perfect. Okay, well, I will just get started. So, just going a little bit more into like what I've been able to do and some of the companies I've worked with. So of course I mentioned Black Opal and Fashion Fair, Legacy Brands, which I think is like a case study within itself. And I'm definitely going to build that out one day when I get some time to actually build it out. Just how to like revive these brands, how to think about them differently, especially working with leadership that's been in the industry for a long time, just kind of managing those relationships. Like, what do I like as Crystal, a millennial, a 36-year-old, versus the leadership and the owners of the companies, and how are we talking to our customers to breathe new life into the brand? Are we offering them things that they want? That was like a really hard experience for me, but it really taught me so much. I think I became a lot more scrappy because of those experiences, and still have great relationships with them. I've actually seen Cheryl and Desiree for the past like 3 weeks in a row in New York at the CEW event with Creighton Kuiper from Walmart, in Arkansas at Walmart headquarters for the Beauty Summit, and then last week at Ulta FLC in Las Vegas. So they are my mentors, my like adopted aunties, and really allowed me to learn more about how to like really flow in the multicultural space, because I had never worked in multicultural beauty before. I really feel like I got my initial experience with Amika. I love Amika. It's like one of my favorite brands. I think it's one of the smartest brands in the industry. I was their first brand manager. I am Black. It's a general market brand. And I was literally in those meetings, like with the products, like spraying my hair. I built the largest territory in the country, and was really like the guinea pig for how we would do stuff. And so to see their ascension and how they've been able to scale and also sell a bit of the company last year, I really feel like it helped me to understand proper framework so that I can apply that to the multicultural brands that I serve now. I also work with Beneath Your Mask. I do believe that Dana is a part of Brain Trust as well. I just spoke to her yesterday. Love her. We actually have the same hairstylist in Chicago, and I saw him posting about an event that she was doing at Neiman Marcus. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is luxury, like hearing her story, like the why behind why she created the products. She has lupus. Unfortunately, she gained 100 pounds in a month. And so she wanted to create products that were like medicine, but didn't feel like medicine, that had those healing properties. So her brand is literally one of my favorites. I have adult acne, and her products really help to change my skin, as well as my hair. And then of course, TGIN, love them. I call them my silent killers, because I mean, we are like crushing it in all of our retailers. So just love the way that I've been able to work with some of these partners that are listed here, and then some more. So I would like for this to be really like interactive. I didn't prepare like a super beefy deck, but I wanted to go through a few of these points. So are there any questions? Please, someone ask me a question.
You mind if I hop in quickly,
Sure.
Crystal? First off, incredible background. So many questions, but I'm not going to domineer the time. One thing that stuck out, when you mentioned entering the multicultural like space and everything, what was that transition like? And in your experience working with multicultural brands, are there different strategies and tips that they need to employ in order to be successful versus like just like white focused brands?
Yeah, I think that's an amazing question. So Amika was obviously general market, but super inclusive. Like everyone can use Amika's products. We had, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Naima Lafon. She was the global artistic director. She is a Haitian woman. So we had French rolls and big ornate hair. She calls herself the queen of statement hair. And of course, me, I have a very big personality. So I wanted to make sure that our hair stories are still being told. And I really liked my position there because I felt like I had a seat at the table on behalf of Black brand or on behalf of the culture, but in a general market space. And so to kind of answer your question, the difference that I have seen so far, and I'm just keeping it a buck, it's money. It's the access to capital. It's the amount of money that we had to play. I can play properly at Sephora. I can play that game with Amika because I have access to millions of dollars to pay for the promotions, to create sampling, premium sampling. I'm talking about full-size products, custom bags, stuff that I still have in this house today. And I left them several years ago. I can hire brand ambassadors across the country to launch a product at the same time so that it's executed flawlessly. With multicultural brands, sometimes, because of course we've seen, you know, I guess like the unicorns of like a Mayel and just the way that some of these other brands have been able to, you know, come into like really amazing ascension. We just don't, we are so behind. I mean, like, and it's like, to me, a systemic problem. We can go real deep if you want to, but it's a systemic problem just in America with us being people of color. And I definitely see that in beauty, but I think if you have your vision, if you have your passion, and you do have to have money to play, specifically in retail, you can be successful. Definitely, I love building relationships with people. So taking that extra time to, you know, go to an event where a VP is going to be, I mean, keeping it 100, Kendra, she hit me up. And she was like, hey, I want to meet you. This is a Thursday. Can you come?
Go ahead and tell it because I did it. Y'all
Can
already
you
know
come?
me.
Can you come to South by Southwest tomorrow or this weekend? So this is like a Thursday. And, you know, for me, I'm like a solopreneur, entrepreneur, kind of all these things, entrepreneur, whatever. South by Southwest at the last minute is a financial sacrifice. It is, to me, it is. But it was that important for me to meet Kendra, to meet the team, that I knew that financial investment was gonna prove a return at some point. So point is, figure it out and go. 3 weeks ago, I went to New York for the Cosmetic Executive Women Talk with Creighton Kuiper. He is the new Black man who is the VP of beauty at Walmart. And so this is where where I kind of go into strategy mode. I was gonna meet Creighton 4 days later in Arkansas, and my team was gonna pay for it and all of that. But I wanted to meet him on my own, where he would remember me. And I wanted to be able to follow up 4 days later so that he would know, like, okay, this girl is legit. She's the real deal. Now, keep in mind, we're Gucci at Walmart. I love Walmart. If y'all can get into Walmart and stay in Walmart, you need to do that because they have the money, they have the coins, and they will work with you. But I wanted to make sure that he knew who I was as Crystal from Beauty Brand Camp, as well as Crystal representing TGIN. So being able to like connect with those people, I feel like will definitely help you to do well in retail as a multicultural business. I feel like I answered it, but if I didn't, let me
No,
know.
you definitely, it seems like a key theme there is that you got to go out and get it and hustle, you know, put yourself in those positions to be successful. I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but I'm just, you know.
No, good. This can
So
be
I'm
like,
super interested here.
we can flow.
So, yeah. So, I mean, you had mentioned, you know, taking a last minute flight to meet someone that could potentially help take you to that next level or open up a potential door. Does the way in which you connect with someone play a role in those negotiations for retail and the back door, right? Like if you can get in good enough or something like that, does that help you when you're negotiating like payback terms and things like that? Or does that like not even relevant in the slightest?
I think it depends on how strong of a negotiator you are. You know, I love negotiating. So it's like, I've been negotiating since I was a kid. Like my parents will tell you, um, I like it. And like, even in relationships, even though I've dated married people that were in sales, probably sold more than me, you know, obviously made more than me, I would handle like all of our negotiations. So I think you have to either refine your negotiation skills or hire someone that can negotiate on your behalf. One thing I will say, and we were talking about this earlier in this chat that I was on, is do not be afraid of these people. I know that some of you guys are just starting out, and I know that getting that first PO and like checking off all the boxes and all that, it's great to have like, you know, strong business like acumen and like, you know, follow the rules, but you can push back on these people. You can push back on Ulta, you can push back on Walmart, you can push back on Sephora if it's to your benefit. And you have to be able to stand on why you need this, right? Like, so as it relates to payment terms and margin, ask. I mean, what are they? The worst they would do is, in most cases, is say no. Perhaps I operate from a lens of confidence, but I'm like, you're not, in my mind, you're not gonna like kick me out, you know,
Right.
like we're just gonna have to like, you know, we're just gonna have to like either eat it or move forward. And also another thing that I do, I don't mind saying no. I don't run after every shiny penny. I've gotten rid of retailers before if they're not aligned with the brand ethos, if they're not good partners for me, if it just doesn't make financial sense to our bottom line. I have no problem making a strong suggestion for us to begin the process of exiting. And I've done it before. I've done it a couple of times. I can be very specific. I know this is like a safe space, but Rite Aid was one that I got rid of. My broker was kind of upset about it, but I was like, this doesn't make any sense for me. Like, I don't, like, what are you guys doing? Like, I don't know what's happening here. And then another one was Jenny, which is the beauty supply store distributor. We were going in a different direction. I'm not saying that I agree with getting rid of Jenny, because the beauty supply store, especially for Black owned brands, is like the backbone of beauty. That was like the only place that we were able to shop for products, for us to buy products. So I don't necessarily agree with that decision that was made, but I did it in a way that, although they were upset, it was a 25-year relationship that we had to end. Everything is incestuous in this business. And so, of course, the next brand that I work with, they work with Jenny too. And of course, they remember me, and they might tease me a bit, but because I was not, you know, nasty or anything like that, you know, we still have a beautiful relationship with the newer brand. So yeah.
I really appreciate that, Crystal. You're popular. We've got a whole bunch of questions coming
Oh
in.
my goodness. I know, it's like so many.
Yomi has a question here. Do you want to come off mute quickly and ask your question? Yomi with Flex and Fly?
Oh, you were saying Yumi.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yomi, my bad. So sorry. Apologies.
No worries. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Crystal. My question is actually based on some of the things I've been recognizing. So we're gonna be in a couple retails, and I've been currently speaking to people that are in your field that focuses on I guess getting us advertising. And I think the shock that I've gotten lately is how much things are curated. Coming from us being a small business owner and having what it feels like organic reach or organic buyers.
Yeah.
It feels a little shocking to me in the retail space how much things are curated. That's the best word I can think of, and how expensive the curation is. And I was wondering, how do we go about speaking to the people that we do want to work with when it comes to growing our business and going to another level, but also maintaining our organic reach and combining them where it feels like you're still you, if that makes any sense, or your business is still you, yours.
No, I think I understand your question. So I'll try to answer in the best way that I can. Keeping your brand identity and brand ethos at the forefront is like paramount, because you don't really want to deviate from that. To your point about how things are curated and how it just seems it possibly could be like inauthentic. You do have the opportunity to push back. I will give you an example. I won't share the retailer, but I worked with a multicultural hair care brand, and my buyer is Caucasian and she uses the products. And so we had images that were people with very kinky, coily, highly textured hair, like more textured than mine, just like very, very beautiful coils. The problem with the image, which I do agree with, was that all three girls had that same texture. And so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt of what she was trying to say, is that she wants to see diversity in hair texture and not diversity in skin color, because you want to maintain the brand integrity. And like, I feel like if you're looking at multicultural versus general market, you're not going to Olaplex and telling them to add Black people. Like, you're probably not. Like, you might, but you're like probably not doing that. And so for me, as like a leader of this brand, it was important for me to make sure that she knew clearly that we are not adjusting our marketing to make her feel seen in the ads. I guess it's like, is it reverse DEI? I'm not quite sure. But it was a conversation that actually had to get escalated to the DEI manager, who I do know. And I was just kind of like, yo, like, is this really what y'all are on? Because if that's it, then like, you know, that's actually making me feel uncomfortable, especially as one of your top brands. Like, why should I have to change my image, my assets to make her feel included? She can still buy the product and it still will work on her hair, because she said it works on her hair, and we love that. But I'm not, you can push back. I mean, you can do it in a way that is professional, but you can be very firm. Like, this is what our brand, I'm talking to Black women, right? Like, I want y'all to feel supported. I want you to feel beautiful when you're shopping at Target, at Ulta, at Sephora, wherever, as it relates to how my brand is showing up. I want you to feel seen. So like, no. I mean, again, you have to be able to like, you can be more flowery, more gingerly, you know, more PC, but the answer is no. If you feel like, I don't want people to feel like they're totally going against their offering to completely appease these retailers in fear that you're going to be I mean, they're not going to like beat you, you know, like, so I don't know. Is that too real? Did I go too far with that answer? I don't know.
No, that was great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I really appreciate it.
I'm speaking up for the people. I'm on the front line. I see Amber's running. Like, I really am. I'm like, is this what you're on? And because I know so many people in the industry, I can have these conversations with leadership, either laterally or even, you know, senior leadership, C-suite leadership. Like, you know, you say you want this, you want that, you want Black, blah, blah, blah. It's a trend. It's 15%, whatever. okay, we need to show up. Our people need to feel like they're being seen here. Like, what's really, so anyways.
100%. You're never too real on here, Chris.
Sorry, guys. I can pull it back if you want me
Man,
to.
you are so cool. You're so popular right now. So I'm
Thank
gonna try and organize this thing a little bit.
I know, I'm like
We have
looking.
Rika that has 2 questions. I'm gonna turn it over to her, and then we're just gonna run through some of the other questions in the chat and move from
Okay.
there. That's okay.
Okay.
Cool. Rika, go ahead.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. My name's Rika, and I run a platform for beauty ambassadors and stylists, pretty much. That's what I do, right?
Love it.
But we build teams for brands. Sometimes it's difficult to be able to share with brands how important it is to have professionals on their side. And I would love if you could speak to how some brands have been able to grow with that as a super engine, using Olaplex as an example.
Yeah, I mean, so the problem is, so first of all, amazing company. And one thing I would suggest for you is just to like try to, I don't know if you've connected with these retailers as like a vendor of record, but I know that with Sephora specifically, I'll talk about Fashion Fair, my experience Fashion Fair. They wanted us to hire this company that would deploy trained makeup artists throughout the country, throughout the doors. But it's so cost prohibitive sometimes for these smaller brands to execute. So like I've seen it done well. I used to work at MAC when I was in college. Obviously, they have an engine behind them. Amika, we did it, I would say that I built out that program and it was hard. So we had regional managers that would cover like 6 to 7 states. And then we would be responsible for finding like a brand ambassador within those territories to kind of like cover. I feel like it's grown a lot more now, but having someone in store is key because these sales associates are not overly incentivized to sell your product. They're just not, right? Like, and so they're going to go with the product that is like most popular. I remember when I worked at MAC in college and Viva Glam 5 was like, if you don't know what to tell the person to buy, just tell them Viva Glam 5. Like that was like the shade, it looks good on everyone and that's it. And so I know that they have all these like education, like programs, I would say, like Sephora education and Ulta education, but are the salespeople actually watching them and how are we as brands showing up to actually incentivize them? It's hard because it's very expensive to do. I mean, at minimum, you're paying this person like $25 an hour, like across the country, like how many people, $25 an hour for 4 to 6 hour increments, 2 to 3 days a week, if you're lucky, maybe 4 times a month is a little bit more feasible, but throughout the country, you have to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in reserves, and you have to be able to prove that to the CEO that this is going to give me the ROI, this is going to give me the sales, and it's a really hard thing to sell in. But I do think that it is important to put into your like budget as you're planning, and just do your best with that one because it's so hard to deploy. And these retailers have such crazy expectations. I know when we launched Fashion Fair, Sephora wanted us to execute 100 events simultaneously throughout the country a month after we launched, which is like crazy. Like, don't ever say yes to that. We didn't know, but I'm telling you, like, don't say yes to something that robust 1 month after you launch. Like, that's crazy. So I hope I answered your question. I think I did though. Okay, is that good?
Rika, did you have a second question by chance?
Yes, I did. I actually wanted to ask about the differences between the United States and the European market, because it's something that we're starting to look at and it looks radically different. And I would love to hear what you've been able to see.
Yes, so love this topic. Actually, I have it on their EU approval as like kind of one of the line items to talk about. So I'm actually heading to London next month for the Style My Curls event. And I can send the link to Ryan to send to y'all if you just like want to go to London next month. So I am not an expert on this at all. I can give you a very high level answer and just how we're starting to think about it a little bit more right now. So number one, in the United States, President Biden just passed a new, I want to say bill. It's called MOCRA, I'll put it in the chat, MOCRA. You guys can look it up and just kind of like see more. And I can actually send that to Ryan too, because I do have what it looks like. But essentially, at a high level, the United States is held to like bottom of the barrel standards as it relates to beauty products and like what can be sold and what can't be sold. One thing about Amika that was special to me is that we were already EU approved, which meant that we were already at the highest standard of beauty. And it also allows us that opportunity to scale. You are going to hit a wall in America, or in the States, or, you know, the US, Caribbean, the Americas, you're going to hit a financial wall. In order for you to hit, I think like the hundreds of millions of dollars, $50 million, whatever, you have to be able to go outside of the country. And it's not difficult, but you guys, brands I've worked with, we are not formulating the products to the EU standards because the preservatives are different and because we have different textures of hair and we need that performance to be there, et cetera, et cetera. We have a lot of different, I'll say reasons versus excuses as to why we can't do it, but it can be done. And so the EU market is, you know, we have a lot of people of color there, and I don't know how much you guys have all traveled, but I know when I go over there, I can't find anything for my hair. Like if I were to leave my hair bag at home, oh my gosh, like what am I going to really use? Because the amount of brands that are EU approved for our hair texture is just simply not, it's not as many. And then some of the SKUs, you know, the full lines are not acceptable. So for TGIN, I want to say we have like 6 SKUs, like a shampoo, conditioner, a mask, and maybe a gel and another styler that's EU approved. But we are working very closely with the team over there to increase that. So another thing, just to like piggyback on this, and I'm giving y'all all my free stuff, but that's okay. You want to make sure you have a responsible person. And so I typically have products over here to just push and show, but if you look at a product, you might see a responsible party on the label. So this is like the laundress. This is made in the US, so it's not there. But on Amika's products, for instance, you'll see different languages and different, you'll see that actual name of the responsible person. You want to be able to find that person because they're essentially validating that your products are EU approved. I do think it's super important to think about it. I know sometimes it's at the bottom of people's like lists of, you know, like, oh, I just want to get it out, you know, I just want to get my product out here. But if you could think about it in the beginning, it will save you a lot of time of like reformulating in the future. So
Really appreciate that, Crystal.
free stuff.
Got a lot more stuff coming through. Yoki, Hanley, do you want to ask your question and come off, or do you want me to read it? Which is easier? I can go ahead and read it on her behalf. This one was pretty popular. When and or if do you recommend a brand do a white label? Is that ever a good idea? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I have not gone through that process, so I probably am the wrong person to ask that question to. So I'm not going to answer it because I don't really have anything strong to say about it. I do think it's a great question. I can try to get the answer for you from other people that I know and send it over to Ryan, but I haven't done that just yet.
We can, what we can do, Crystal, no worries at all. There's a great licensing company that we're working with on a few deals. So Ryan, we can add that to programming, and Crystal, definitely get your answer. But if that's a question, we can bring some people on to answer it. We can do a whole licensing fireside chat, everybody.
I love that. And I'll be on because I want to hear what they have to say.
Well, you're part of us now, so yes, you will.
Okay.
Well, much appreciated. We'll move on to the next one. And thanks for standing on just the truth there, because you could have just said anything. So I'm glad I'm glad you did it.
100 in this group. I'm 100.
Love that. This one came from our fearless leader, Kendra. Can you talk about when you used to, excuse me, I butchered that. Can you talk about when to use a company like yours versus going direct to retail? Is there a good checklist to know when the time is right?
I think that's
And Crystal, I'll preface this by saying that we had Ron, who, you know, we've talked about from Beauty Stat, and he had a perspective on it, of course, because he's in every Ulta door. And so we've had multiple conversations within our community about doing it on your own, working with a partner, at what point's the trigger, when does it become more cost effective, more controlled?
Yes, I can answer this question. So it is, okay, let me think this through. I want to make sure this is a good answer. So with some retailers, they don't even let you talk to them without a broker. So like, let's start there. You cannot talk to CVS in most cases without going through Ultra Standard. Like you can't even get to them. They are the broker kind of a record. They're the largest broker of CVS because they don't have, these retailers don't always have the infrastructure to really have constant conversations with us. I'll talk about Target. You know, everyone loves Target. I love Target. I live next to Target and my house is, I'm right there at Target. But working with them, we currently have a broker, and what we are finding now, several years later, is that the broker that we selected is no longer a fit for us. And so just to give you guys perspective of cost and structure for some brokers, I'm sort of changing my fee structure right now to like a lower cost or percentage of sales. Like that is kind of like the industry standard at this point, because sometimes you don't have $12,000 to pay someone to like give you reports and negotiate on your behalf. But if you're getting a PO, you can, you know, kick them 3%, 5%, whatever you guys negotiate. I do think that depending on where you are, depending on which retailers you're working with, will kind of determine if you have to go the broker route or not. I'll say that Ulta will let you work with them directly. And you'll have meetings. And I feel like Ulta is just a very well-oiled machine as it relates to just how they have their businesses structured. I just got off of a really interesting call with my buyer and assistant buyer about 2 hours ago. And they offer you all the things that brokers will offer you. So a broker will share with you the data, so your sales by SKU. Sometimes it's like last year versus this year, and then the change. OTIF, which is a huge metric in working with retailers. So that means on time and in full. So making sure you're shipping these orders on time, making sure that they are a complete order. That is like a huge metric that if you don't hear anything else I said, OTIF, 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 if you want to be successful, because you know, you're competing against a lot of brands. And so you want to make sure that you're on top of that OTIF. A broker can also, from a beneficial perspective, really advocate for you. You know, you guys are the creatives, you are the visionaries, you're not necessarily the integrator. If you're thinking about like the EOS method of like, you know, the system of, you know, working, you're the visionary. So you need someone that's going to help to do the difficult work that you don't want to do. I don't even want to do, you know, these reports at this point in my career. I have an analyst that can do them for me. And so I do think that time is our most valuable thing. And so you don't want to be like necessarily spending your time always just like looking through these things, but you do want to be aware of where you stand. I don't know if Kendra, if we have examples of like some of the reports, maybe so they can see kind of like what what it would
The
show.
differences, yeah.
Just so you can see kind of like, all right, this is what you're paying for. But for me, for instance, like we are about to exit a broker. I probably shouldn't say this, but I am very soon. I think it's going to happen tonight. And I got their invoice, and I'll give a round number. Let's say it was like $12,000, right? So to me, spending $12,000 for a month for just a report is like beyond egregious to me. It's just like a lot. Like you're not in my office. I don't think it's worth $12,000. So that's why we're exiting it. So I think you just have to like negotiate the rates, make sure it fits in with your budget, make sure they're offering value. And again, if you guys have questions about like, okay, well, what is valuable? Like, are they coming? One thing I do, I'll come into your office, and if you're in Chicago, I'll come into your office once a week for a few hours. You can essentially pick my brain. And so your team, I'll integrate into your teams. Marketing can ask me questions, accounting can ask me questions, leaderships. I'll come into your office once a week. I think that's added value because I'm showing you that I am committed to what you have going on. And then for the clients that are in other states, I try to come quarterly, but also have a weekly meeting with them just so that that they know what I'm doing. But with these other larger brokers that you might see, you won't talk to them. I don't think it's worth it always, but I think it is good to work with them to get your foot in the door, but you can also fire them once you feel like you got it under control. And if your buyer says it's okay, you can exit them if you think it makes sense for your business.
Really appreciate the insight there, Crystal.
Thank you.
Do you want to go through a couple of slides before we address some of these other questions, or do you just want to power through?
Yeah, I just want to go through I'll go through this pretty quickly because I think that these are important things just to think about as you're approaching retail. So obviously the art of the pitch, making sure that you have your pitch. What is your unique selling point? What makes your brand special? Why do we care? Like really refining that, tailoring that, because you have to think about this. These buyers are being pitched all the time. And if you're pitching them directly, you don't have that relationship. You don't have that buffer. You don't have that person that's like rooting for you. Now when I go into Ulta, I have champions. I have people who want to see me win. And it is so humbling to me that little old me, I have this level of visibility with a behemoth of, a retailer like Ulta, and I'm continuing to, cultivate these relationships across the board. But making sure that you are, have that concise offering, and then you're looking at the white space. So like really do your due diligence to set yourself apart and solve a problem. People love problem solvers. So if there's something that you see, in the industry that's not there, create it. I mean, if you've ever heard Christia's story or read her book, she, went to Harvard. She's this huge lawyer, literally working at the same law firm as, the Obamas did. And she just could not find products in Target for her hair. And this is kind of the beginning of the natural hair movement in retail. She was one of the pioneers of that. So she was in her kitchen and just created these products. And so she saw a lot of organic success because she was solving a problem. She was showing that, hey, this customer over indexes in beauty and buying. You need to take a big bet on this. And it's been successful for her. Clean and sustainable beauty. So again, Crystal, keeping it 100, 2-3 years ago, it's all about BIPOC, Black owned brands. We want to help the people. We're for the people. It's 15% pledge, Black, Latino, Black, all inclusive, all the things. They are starting to see that some of these brands were simply not ready for retail. We did not have the infrastructure. We did not have the strategy. We did not have the money to play the game. And so we're out. And it's no longer a focus. Not saying that we're not important, and not saying that people like me are not on the front line, making sure that more Black brands are getting into retail properly. But that's also why I work with kind of mid-sized brands, because they can sort of play that very expensive game. However much money you think you need double that. So it's a very expensive game to play. And you have to have money, millionaires, billionaires, VCs, angels. You need to have money in the background in order to play the game properly. So since they're over us, they've moved on to clean and sustainable beauty. And I can send you guys over, and again, sorry to I guess we're doing more clerical work. After this, I can send you over what Target, Zero, what they're looking for. Ulta has a clean program, just so you guys can kind of see what those guidelines are, so that you can think about being cleaner and more sustainable, because that is something that they are focusing on. And then also, to me, it's not like a trend. I mean, the planet is dying, so it's important for us to really think about things from a sustainable point of view, as well as thinking about things like refillables and how can we, I know Fenty Beauty, they're doing it with the lipsticks. So can we think about this in the beginning stages of our companies as we're, in product development, instead of, again, having to go back, spend a whole bunch of money, when we have to make the change. Wellness is also a category that is popular right now. It's trending for sure. And that is wellness all around, from ingestibles, which is surprisingly popular. So figuring out what that looks like for you. Sexual wellness is another category that is about to pop. So just note that. I don't know if any brands are kind of in that space, but cleaner products there is something that the brands are sort of leaning into a bit more. Also SWAS. So SWAS stands for store within a store. So Ulta, Target, 13 Loon and JCPenney, Space NK and Walmart. Honestly, the Space NK and Walmart, I just learned more. I've heard of it, but I was able to meet the people at Walmart headquarters a couple weeks ago, and they won an award with Walmart. So how you can interpret that is Walmart's making a big bet on them. Walmart is the largest beauty retailer in the world. And so what they're trying to do from a strategy perspective is focus on prestige a bit more, focus on their higher earners. And I heard that week over week when I saw Creighton or heard him speaking, they are focusing on more of a luxury client. What they're telling people is that, and I'm not sure if this is totally true, that their clients don't care where they buy the product as long as they can get the product. I don't agree with that personally, but that's how Walmart is positioning themselves. And so Space NK is another brand to kind of think about. Are you laughing, Amber? I mean, I don't think that way. I feel like when I've had to go, so I live in downtown Chicago. So I live next to Target, next to Whole Foods, next to across street from Walgreens. Walmart's very far for me. When I went to Hampton, of course I'm shopping at Walmart, but I'm not driving 30 minutes to go to Walmart. Now, when I do have to go to Walmart for work, I do buy stuff because I forget, oh my gosh, it's so cheap. The everyday low pricing thing, that is real. So I will get things from there. I'm yo, this is actually a really good price, but you have to get me in there. I'm not going there because Target is right there. I would show you. It's literally right there. So just think about getting it. So the point of me sharing this is to think about maybe some of these store within a stores, because it's a lower barrier of entry. And so you can maybe get into 100, test it out, test your logistics, see if you can, get the orders out on time and in full. I think it's a nice exercise for you to lean into. And then you will be able to build a case to these retailers that hey, I was able to do this at 13 Loon, I was able to do this at Ulta and Target, this at Space NK. And Space NK does not have a lot of Black owned brands right now. They did share that too. So I'm giving y'all all the secrets. So just note that they're probably going to be adding more there. And then I'm going to go to infrastructure, and I see a question about infrastructure. It's called Space NK, like Nancy Kate, Tamiqua. So they haven't pulled together the infrastructure to support it. So I guess what you're saying is like, they haven't pulled together the infrastructure to support the luxury or the higher end people shopping, but they're saying that they're shopping. They have all this data. They have a new program. It is called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a new program that it's called Luminate actually. And so it's going to provide you with data, which is great. And then SWA stands for store within a store. Perfect. Thank you, Yoki, for helping out. And then finally, content. You are not only a brand, you know, makeup, hair, whatever it is that you, wellness, you are a content like vehicle. You have to be putting out content, whether it's on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, billboards. You have to be creating content and putting out fresh content all the time. There is so much competition, like so much. And again, I just got off a call with Ulta earlier today that kind of shook me a little bit. You know, I'm not gonna lie. We gotta restructure some things because there's a lot of competition that's coming into that store really soon. And yeah, content is my nemesis, Yoki. I mean, I'm on Instagram. You guys can totally follow me if you want to, but I am not posting on my grid like I should. I'm not promoting the things that I should do. I'm not doing it. And my friends yell at me all the time, but I'm just like, you know, I don't want to do it. But you guys have businesses, so you have to do it. And you want to make sure that people know what you're selling.
Crystal, I was going to say one interesting thing is that, you know, we've done a lot of work with Macy's Marketplace, and we're starting to work with Bloomingdale's, and sitting with the their CRO, and then of course the buyers, like they keep pushing me on founders and content. And they're like, because they're so much of the same, like they're basically like, you're in the space. Like, so I'm like, I'm for founders. And they're like, we need to figure out how to differentiate some of this. And so it's coming down to content and how are the founders themselves like differentiating themselves and the brands on social. And they've constantly asked us, I mean, like if we can pull social data on founders as well as all of the support that we're getting for the products. And we also were talking to the head of BD at TikTok, who is really working on programs to turn founders into creators alongside of the brands. So just reinforcing what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, I know we don't, you know, always enjoy, some people do enjoy it. So, you know, and I think that's great, but it's hard and you just have to like set yourself apart. What is yours? And everyone has a unique story. Like, I mean, I'm sure that, you know, everyone here, they have some challenge that they were able to overcome. And someone will resonate, you know, with that. You want to connect with the people that you're servicing and connect with new people. That's how you're going to get those new customers. So there are some people in the chat. Kendera, she said that I love creating content. That's the part we're good at. So, you know, reach out to her and see, you know, if you guys can work together. So that was all I had. Do you guys have any more questions about these items at all?
Yeah.
Crystal, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hijack. But we are working on a partnership with Beauty Boss Club. I'm gonna get the name wrong. They have a content studio and they're working on some packaged content. So we're bringing them on. It's Montre and Tay is working on that. And then Brain Trust Agency is also working on some content packages at a lower cost than some of the big shops charge for content production. So we are trying to help with content in a cost-effective way. So that's coming as well.
I love that. Yeah, because that's all they're gonna, I mean, that's what Ulta was, I'm not gonna say they were yelling at me, but you know, they had a strong conversation about content today. I was like, our team's in Atlanta right now. We're about to shoot. I'm giving you all the things. please just be patient. So I'm happy you guys are offering that.
Well, awesome. We've got a couple more minutes and we're just going to take the last 4 questions or so,
Okay.
starting with Yumi. Yumi, go ahead. If you have your question, we'll just go down the line to everyone who has got their hand up.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. My question was the difference between being on an online store and then actually being inside the stores. And how does that transition work? Do you have any advice for that?
So .com is always a nice place to be. It's typically an easier barrier of entry. But again, that content piece, you have to have a strategy around driving customers to buy that product from that respective .com retailer versus in store, the cadence of ordering is so much more aggressive in most instances. So if you're thinking about like Walmart and Target, they're ordering every week sometimes. But if you think about some of like the cleaner beauty stores, they might order once every 2 months. It kind of depends. But I think that .com, it's a good way to just have like that cachet. So like I have on here, like Goop, Farfetch, Real, like being on there is great, especially if you're trying to be in that like luxury mastige, prestige kind of space without having to pay for space and gondolas and all of those things. So I feel like I answered the question. It just kind of depends on what you can afford to do, but I do think it's good. You just have to drive the customers to .com.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll move on to Kendera Thompson.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, Crystal. Just had a quick question. Wanted to know your thoughts on when a brand should consider becoming EDI compliant.
As soon as possible. as if you want to go into retail, I mean, because you can't really work around that. So EDI compliance is, or sorry, did you have more? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
So we're going to be in 68 hospital facilities. We're minority owned certified, and they gave us the option to go with their distributor or become EDI compliant, which there's a difference in what fees will be taken out, versus if we were. So I don't know if that's the same with like retail stores and stuff. We're just trying to figure out, should we just move forward and get it done? Or just kind of wait until we have someone like you or a broker to kind of walk us through that process. Because it's very intimidating, like insane.
No, for sure. It's so expensive. So I can answer this question because I do know about EDI compliance. I would say like a larger infrastructure answer would be to conduct an exercise with your operations manager just to take a look at the cost. But then also, what is your strategy? Like, what are your goals? And if your goals are to go into like a Target, an Ulta, Sephora, whatever, you do want to have that EDI compliance ready to go, because I've seen there be issues when things are not, like from a payment perspective and just from an ordering perspective. I've seen some brands have issues when it's not. So I can answer from like a very high level of like operations, and the CEOs are kind of like, yelling because, oh, this payment didn't get made or this order is wrong because you're not EDI compliant. So I would say it's a larger conversation for like your operations manager. That's like the best answer I can give you.
Crystal, do you have time for maybe just 2
Yeah,
more?
I do. You're my last meeting of the day. Now, other ones I had to hop off of because it was like boom, 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 but I have a couple more minutes.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're going to run through these last 3 and then, we'll wrap up for the day. Shamika, go ahead.
Sorry. Hi, this is great. Some people answered some of the questions, asked some of the questions that I had. I guess my question to you is in regards to the strategy, because a lot of times, you need funding, you need the popularity. They say, well, if your product doesn't sell on retail, then, you're not ready. Your margins got to be right. But at the same time, I feel like you need like a split between like direct to the consumer, wholesale, etc. Is there a strategy in a way to make sure you're actually ready? So for example, I was like, all right, maybe I'll go to Cosmo Prof. Then I'm like, well, do you go do it? Do you exhibit? Like in regards to, I guess, the journey of it to make sure you are retail ready.
I love that question, and I can answer that question. So when I was hired by Amika in, let's say it's 2016-ish, their strategy was going to the beauty shows. So they were like, I'll call us the queens of America's Beauty Show, Cosmo Prof, just like kind of that cash and carry sort of I don't know, structure. And from there, they were just able to scale so much that they were able to get the attention of smaller distributors, right? And so you will find in beauty smaller, like, mom and pop distributors that will be a bit more flexible in terms of margins. And then what they did is they found them throughout the country. They kind of like figured out where their target audience is. And that's work that, you would do, figure out where your target audience is, figure out who the distributors are. And then we did that. But then when I was hired, they fired them because we got with Salon Centric. And so Salon Centric is the largest beauty distributor, professional beauty distributor in the world, owned by L'Oreal. And how Salon Centric is structured, just in case you guys don't know, they have like their L'Oreal brand. So think like Redken, Matrix, Mazzani for the Black brands. They have lots of brands, Pulp Riot that they purchased. They're like on this side. And then you have partner brands. You have like Amika, I think like Ola, and I haven't worked with them in a while, but like Amika, Olaplex, like think of like some of the smaller professional-ish brands. And so what our strategy was, is we have to get rid of all of the small ones because we're about to have boots on the ground with the Salon Centric sales associates. So how Salon Centric is structured, it's like they're going salon to salon. It's like door-to-door sales. And you as a brand, me as a brand manager, I had to entice them, make them very excited about my brand, give them all the free stuff, give them the product knowledge as well, go to meetings with them to empower them to sell my products. Now, this is where it gets tricky. So I'm at Amika for like, I don't know, a couple years. We decide to split how we're working with the distributors again. So we start working with not like the small mom and pop ones, but like the mid-size ones, because we're finding the competition it's hard for us to compete against the L'Oreal brands that they are very much so incentivized to sell. So if you have built up your brand, the cachet, it's super popular brand, you can get and empower the mid-sized distributors again. So then you're creating competition. This is business. This is capitalism. This is not a nonprofit, and we're not out here doing this stuff for free. So we want to make sure that we can penetrate the market properly and have that wide reach, but still be very strategic. While we're doing this, we are also entering into Sephora, which makes the professional people mad because we were a professional brand. So we had like a smaller assortment at Sephora, like literally like on the, I can't remember what they call it. I think they call it Beauty on the Fly, BOT, Beauty on the Fly. So like that small cash wrap thing, like before you check out, we would have like the 1 ounce dry shampoos there. And then from there, now I don't know if you've been to Sephora store lately, but honey, Amika is that girl. We have products and full scale line. We have, I think it's like a 4 foot or maybe a 6 foot space. And so I think that you just have to be agile. and you have to be flexible. So that's how Amika did it. And I don't know what they're doing now, but they're continuing to scale, continuing to get more space. But they do have a lot of money. So again, I told Ryan this, my girlfriend, and as I was prepping for this chat, she asked me a question like, well, what's the common thread of the successful brands you've worked with? Like, what can you tell the people that will be on here? And I was like, they have money. Unfortunately, they have money, and you have to have money, and you have to figure it out. And so I don't have the answer for like how to, for the money, should you do venture capital? Because I just heard a horrific story last week at the Ulta event about a brand that is very popular that I won't share, but she took too much of an investment, and she's probably going to go under. And I had never like heard that perspective in that way, especially for a brand that's doing what she does. But it made me really sad because I love her products and I use them. And the fact that it might not work out because she took the money too soon, or took too much too soon, or gave away too much equity too soon. And again, I'm sure that you guys have experts in brain trust that can really talk through that better. But just for me, as like a person doing what I do, that was like kind of like a red flag for me. So very long answer, but that is how Amika did it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Really appreciate that, Crystal. Khadijah, go ahead and go.
Awesome. Well, we love to see a fellow Hamptonian. Okay.
Hey,
Girl. My name is Khadijah Doso, and I'm the founder of Doso Beauty. We're an e-commerce beauty supply store, but we're mostly known for our hypoallergenic braiding hair. I have been in pitch competitions. We won Pharrell Williams Black Ambition Prize, like all the things. We've been exposed to places like Ulta. They know about us. We have people that are fellow Hamptonians that know about us as well too within Ulta, but It just seems like I'm hitting a brick wall when it comes to them. I've even done a case study within 2 days where I got 200 people to prove to them that Black women and Black people do not get their hair done in the physical retail locations because they don't see people like us and because they need products that can suit them. So I guess what my question to you, because I got many, the question I think is most relevant for here is, what is like one of the niche ways or like the ding, ding, ding for an Ulta beauty? And then, well, I'll ask that first part question first. Like, what are they really looking for? Because like the feedback I'm getting is like, they're looking for followers. They're looking for people who are creating content like they told you. But like, I'm really trying to figure out like, what is it that they're hesitant about when it comes to Black beauty founders within the multicultural hair care space?
That is a beautiful question. I do not work for Ulta, but I love the Ulta team. I do feel like I have a close relationship with them, and I can't speak for them, but what I would surmise is they have to make sure that the product will sell. And so you have to prove that you have followers that are going to shop at Ulta a lot, right? And so are they going to buy the products? What are the margins on it? Do you have the infrastructure to work with Ulta? Do you have the manufacturing? I mean, I don't work with people who don't have like warehouses. I can't. Me personally, I would love to build out my company where I can hopefully one day have like a whole startup team that can help, because I love startups. Like it's my jam, but I don't have the infrastructure to really help right now. So they're making from my experience with them, it's like a risk. They're trying to like assess risk. Is this client going to shop with us? Can this brand fulfill these orders again on time and full? Are they going to be putting out the content consistently, thinking about Ulta first? Like Ulta will ask you some real questions, like, how are you doing overall as a company? What are your sales? They will ask you that. You don't necessarily have to answer it. You can kind of dance around it. Sephora, for instance, they are very intense to work with. They would ask for the content calendar like weeks in advance. What are you putting on your Instagram page? I need to see it. I need to see captions. I need to see tags. I need to see hashtags. I need to see influencers. What are you doing? And are you telling these people to shop with me? Like, they need to see all of it and they need to believe in you. So it's like, I think, I don't know if I answered the question, but it's a hard answer because it's like, there's so many things that make it work. And for startups, it's such a risk. So my suggestion would be to try to get into the Ulta Accelerator or even like the Sephora Accelerator and really stand out and learn all you can and make friends and find these people. These people are on LinkedIn. Send them a note. People love to feel like, oh, you think I'm, whatever. Send them a note. Hello, I am a huge fan of your work. Would love to grab 15 minutes to chat. Don't say pick your brain, y'all. Also, don't ever say that. But I'd love to chat. I have this idea and you can share this. I mean, because you have like, you're building up a business case. Like, I've talked to this person, I've done that. And I'm sure we know some of the same people at Hampton because I just met some of them last week and we took a picture together, all of that. So you just have to have somebody championing for you. But it's a hard, I can't really answer. I don't work there, but I think that that's what you have to mix up to get them to like really pull the trigger.
Okay, thank you.
So-
You're welcome. Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to chime in, Sherelle Sampson of Canvy, and great job, Crystal. This is really amazing stuff. I think we met at Walmart, so it's good to see you again.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I wanted to just share with you, because I did have a chance to talk to Muffy, who's the director of emerging brands, a couple years ago, actually, and she was really forthright at Ulta. And she actually gave me the criteria of what they're looking for. So I really appreciated her transparency. So I actually have a list. I'm going to read it to you. So this is her exact email, word for word. Okay.
I love this.
Sure. We look for a lot of different pieces when evaluating. Here are a few. Innovative formula. We would be unique to our assortment. The brand founder story. The packaging, especially for self-shop, the packaging. Brand awareness in social channels. And what she meant by that is at least 250,000 followers. And guest demand / request. Here's what the crazy thing was for me, right? I'm touting, hey, we're in CVS, we're in Sally Beauty. And then in her email, she shared distribution, ideally limited, but can be flexible. So they weren't a fan that we were in other retailers. So I found that really interesting. They said that's starting to change a little bit, but if you are in other retailers already, they kind of frown upon that because they want you to be exclusive, right? At least starting out. And then the other two things was the price value relationship. And she had team and being prepared. So that was word for word director from Emerging Brands of Ulta Beauty. So just thought I would share that with the group.
I
Sorry.
love that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Like right on, you're spot on. And that exclusivity thing is also, it is a thing, but you can negotiate that. So you can do 6 months, 9 months, a year. I do think that's a good way to launch into Ulta. I know a brand that's about to launch this fall and we went through her contract and I was like, you can push back on it. I mean, but they do like it for a bit.
Well, Crystal, this has been amazing. Thank you all again for your attention and your time today. We are going to have to wrap it up, but we will, distribute this recording so you guys can check it out. And if you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to any one of us here on the Brain Trust team. Have a great day and look forward to the next retail session.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And then I just put my IG on there. It's like probably the easiest way to get me. I really humbled. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. We're going to resell her IG as well if you guys didn't catch it. Take care.
Thanks, y'all. Bye.